It's very nice to see all of you. May I read Shokushu, please? I'd like to read tonight Kyudo Shin, the way-seeking mind. The mind seeking to clarify the practice and way of the universe is called Kyudo Shin, or the way-seeking mind. Animals are unable to know universal mind, even if they are very clever. This is a privilege that only human beings possess. How fortunate are the people who manifest the way-seeking mind, because this is exact proof that they have discovered their true human nature. This is the subject of our discussion tonight. Be natural. We started with so what, which is basically means don't get unnecessarily or emotionally caught up in your daily affairs. Or as Toy Sensei says, you don't need to get nervous or excited in your daily affairs. Same thing, so what? That's what so what is. And the next one was do nothing, which means basically to don't react to things, don't act on reaction, but respond from a very deep, calm, and clear place within yourself. And tonight is be natural. Somebody asked me, someone wrote me a question for tonight, and I'm just going to start out with it here before we do some breathing. Be natural. How does this concept apply to the present time of the world pandemic? And I answered her, it is natural to cover your face with a mask when there is a chance that you might infect someone else with a potentially deadly virus. However, what Suzuki Sensei means by natural, that's what he means. But when we say it is natural to cover your face, what do we really mean? Like I just read the Shokushu, and he said animals can do this. So animals are certainly natural, wouldn't you say? They're a big part of nature. But animals can't do this. Animals would not do this. We wouldn't say about an animal that it would be natural to cover its face with a mask so that he wouldn't infect anyone. That's a human thing. So Suzuki Sensei is definitely talking about a human characteristic. Something to consider. We'll take a commercial break and do some key breathing and come back to this, okay? So, some sort of self-development practice. It could be any spiritual type practice. It could be any kind of martial art. It could be a religion, I suppose. I mean, I think that everybody is motivated in the same way. And I'll tell you how I see it in having to do with being natural. And maybe you can let me know if you see it, can see that. You know, in the beginning, we first notice that there's some kind of connection between our thought process and the feeling in our body. At some point, this occurs to us. And then before that, we don't notice this. It never occurs to us. To most people, it hasn't occurred yet. That the way they feel is because of the way they're thinking, the way they're perceiving. Generally, we think it's somebody else's fault why we feel the way we feel. We think it's someone else made us feel this way, right? But then at some point, maybe we have a little flash of awakening, and we see that we are the source of our own feeling. And this feeling in the body, when it's accompanied by a selfish thought or self-protective thought or defensive thought or, negative thought, blaming somebody else for our condition, this is a very negative thought, is accompanied by a kind of tension, a grip within our belly. There's all kinds of pleasurable things that we can do to temporarily relieve that sense of tension, but it comes back again, doesn't it, right away? And even once we start practicing like this, maybe for years, we have still, most of the time, some kind of tension in our body, in our mind-body. We have moments in the dojo or moments in our life when we suddenly are released, let's say. We might call this a kensho or a small awakening or some kind of little peak at samadhi, maybe. Some kind of opening happens. And we're temporarily relieved of this, but tomorrow morning it's back again. But just, so the other night, for instance, the other day I said, so a good teacher always doesn't ever ask anything of the student that they don't ask it themselves, right? And then a great teacher, though, always asks of the student what the student is not asking of himself. And this is what I'm talking about here. Because every student and teacher, every teacher is a student, every student wants to be relieved of this great tension in the body, mind. Every person on earth that is aware of it is attempting to discover how to let it go, how to drive it out, how to get rid of it, how to replace it with some smooth, mellow, loving kindness in our body. So Toei Sensei calls this condition mind-body unification. And in Suzuki Sensei's 4 principles, these 4 principles point to mind-body unification, the same as the 4 basic principles of Toei Sensei point to mind-body unification. So be natural, just like the other 3, all 4 of these, basically say the same thing. I mean, next week, when we do Don't Worry, Be Happy, we can really apply that to the COVID-19. But this tonight is be natural. So, and I mentioned that about what we mean, what a human being means when they say it is natural to care for another human being. It is natural to put on a mask. These are natural things. Not always. So Suzuki Sensei always hastened to draw a difference between being normal and being natural. So what we are normally used to, in other words, what we're conditioned to accept or accommodate about ourselves, not about someone else, but about ourselves in life, what we look at and think is not so bad, I can live with that. We might think that's natural, because that's the way we've always been. But Suzuki Sensei would say, no, that's just normal. Natural is something much, much different, much greater, much deeper, much more original. In other words, natural is our original condition. Natural is our true self, or our true condition, our universal condition, our boundless, indescribable condition. So it's not that it's not a simple a nice way of being with people, naturally, because we very much, we like people that are not, what's the word, fake. We like people that are not faking it or acting out to try to get somebody's approbation or someone's caring about them, to try to press people. This is not natural. This is not what Suzuki Sensei would call natural. And one of these days we're going to have a class on key testing, even though we can't really, I can't have a partner so much, but maybe you recall when I go up to examine someone, to give them a key test, the person often becomes very serious, right? Puts on an Aikido face in order to impress us all, including herself or himself, that they're serious, that they know what they're doing. These are Aikido personas, I call them. But this is not natural. So natural doesn't even work. You can't even pass a key test if you're not natural. So naturally, you cannot also get along with your best friend if you're not natural. You cannot get along with your partner. Your children will pick out a fake thing in you immediately. Your little kids, my grandchildren, they see it right away. We all demand this highest level of each other. Maybe not always with awareness that we're demanding a very high level. Nobody thinks of it that way, maybe. Most people don't. But I've been drawing this parallel all the way through these classes with Taiga, or with the universal or the infinite freedom, the infinite possibility, the freedom without limit, limitless freedom. This is Taiga. And this is our natural condition. This is when we say our original mind or our true self or our original being, however you like to say it, we're talking about our natural condition. So it's not far away. You know exactly, each one of us knows, I hope, when we're faking it. And if we don't know it intellectually, we can feel it in our belly. Because for sure, whenever we're not natural, we feel this tension in our stomach. That's why Keep One Point starts our training. That's the first day. That's the first thing you learn in Aikido, is keep one point. And any amount of, if everyone, let me see, can I look at everyone here? Can you please close your eyes? And can you listen to whatever you can hear? Even if, as well as whatever you can hear outside of yourself, you can listen to the blood running in your body. Can you? And when we listen, let's listen to all of it at once. That's right. So we're listening like one big ear. We're listening to everything at once, without comment. Okay, so open your eyes. Now while you're doing that, while you're listening, you're not feeling any tension in your body, right? If you're actually listening, if you're actually paying attention, you're free of tension. keep one point just means pay attention. But pay attention to what? Pay attention to the very center, the very core of naturalness. We call this the one point in the lower abdomen. But even if you pay attention to some sense, like we could talk about sight or smell or taste or feeling, but sound works very well because everybody can close their eyes and it's easy to pay attention to the outer sounds that are outside of your body or feel like they are. And then can you feel? Can you hear? Can you hear the blood running in your body? I hope so. If not, practice listening so you can hear. You should be able to hear everything in your body zinging along. So, I would like to hear some of you. Let me know what you have to say about naturalness. You can ask a question if you want, but I'd like it also if you have an idea. And don't just agree with me. That's very nice. Thank you. If you think that what I said is great, that's great. But please, if you have a different idea, share it with us. Okay? Oops.
That's it.
Okay, yes.
When we're doing the key breathing.
Where are you from?
Oh, it's Byron from Nina Sasaki's dojo.
Which is in?
Oh, Leeward YMCA.
In Hawaii. These people are from all over the world. They might not know you. Okay.
Oh, okay. When you were talking about doing nothing, it seemed like the key breathing and key meditation allows us to grasp it in a more of a physical sense, because I started to experience nothingness when I was doing key breathing or key meditation. There's this feeling of do nothing, like Suzuki Sensei said.
So, do you have a question there? Do you have a question there?
Well, an experience when we did key breathing and key meditation the other day, is that a chance for us to grasp do nothing? Because I experienced when we were doing key breathing and key meditation, there was a certain point where I experienced, like Suzuki Sensei said, do nothing, like a state of nothingness.
How did you experience that? What do you mean you experienced it?
It felt like nothing. There's nothing there. Like in a physical sense, it was just this oneness feeling of nothing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, well, all four of these principles are basically, I said, leading to the same thing, which is mind-body unification, or your original condition. And our original condition is not filled with self-doubt or worry or unnaturalness or busyness, but is filled with a sense of freedom and emptiness, empty of those negative characteristics which cause tension in our body. So the minute that we feel when we're doing meditation or key breathing, these are ways to become very, very calm and experience this state, which is our natural condition. So the minute we sit down to meditate and become calm, we will have this experience. And you like it a lot, right? Yeah, it's a great feeling because there's no tension, because it's completely your natural condition. So yeah, you said it's like do nothing, but I would say it's also like, so what? And it's also like be natural. And it's also like don't worry, be happy. At least that's what I'm wanting to get across during these sessions. That all four of these are different ways of looking at the same condition. Okay? All right, someone else? What is be natural? What is naturalness?
Hello,
Yes. Hello.
this is Mike Hoffman
Oh,
from, well, Japan right now.
hi. Hello.
Hello. So, well, just want to say something on this being natural. And the speaker before, well, felt nothingness or a natural state during the key meditation. And, well, the point is, how can we bring that out to our daily activities? We see all the disturbing news. We see a lot of information, and so normally if we try to find out what we should do when we listen to the news or whatever, we just get crazy. So we cannot, this does not work.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we experience silence when we do the meditation. And for me, it's hard to transfer that to my daily involvement into the world.
Okay, very good question. This is a very common question that everybody has. And I think we make a mistake when we have an experience in the morning, let's say, sitting in meditation or doing key breathing. We have a sense of freedom and freedom from concern and tension and worry, particularly in a time like this. And then we try to take this with us during the day. But it's not, it's from this morning. It has to arise in every moment, spontaneously. Otherwise, it's not natural. Otherwise, it's not true. So we cannot bring a sense of peace we had yesterday and make it active today. In fact, part of the problem is that we don't even remember it correctly. We think we did something to make ourselves calm. So then we try to do it again, but we didn't really do something. We got out of the way. So we let go of trying to do something. We were doing nothing when we experienced that, when we allowed it to arise within us. So in the midst of our daily activities, that's why we have four of these. So what is, don't get unnecessarily involved and emotional in your daily affairs. This is what Toei Sensei's teaching. And in this case also happens to be Suzuki Sensei's teaching. Of course this takes practice, but no matter what is arising in front of us, we embrace that. And by embracing it, so we can have a sense of calmness and acceptance. But if we push against it or fight against it or resist it or judge it to be, I don't like that, that's going to be trouble for me, I don't want to do that, or I wonder how long it will be before we'll get to train Aikido again. I wonder when I can go back to work. I wonder that when you use your mind in that way, of course, you create more and more tension because those are negative thoughts, right? So I think it's very important that we practice what we preach, that we practice not putting anything into our subconscious mind that will show up later as tension. It's like I'm telling you to be wise, and that's a non-starter, I know. But you trained with Toy Sensei, and you know, and now you, in this case, just today, you're training with me, and it's always the same. We're always just learning to listen without judgment. Listen without coloring what we hear, without blaming others, without causing us more disturbance than necessary. That's what the whole practice is about, is learning to be in the presence of conflict, because the world is made of conflict. Even when there's no pandemic, living in the presence of calmness, in conflict, with a calm, accepting mind. I have to say that for me personally, the key is always gratitude. It's just as difficult for me as for everybody else. I'm sure I'm a normal human being. But very early on, I learned that gratitude, for me personally, was the key to letting everything go. Often when somebody asks me a question like this, I ask them, why are you here on earth in this body right now? And if you cannot tell me immediately, then you want to consider that question deeply, so that it's the forefront of your mind. The first moment I met Suzuki Sensei, he said, this is life and death training. That's the first thing he said to me, is he chased me in the corner with a bokan and he said, this is Shinken Shobu, you have no idea. So now everybody is experiencing a pandemic. Now everybody's going, oh, this is life and death. You know, maybe everybody has a little more idea of that. But there's so many more things that can kill you other than the coronavirus. More people die from heart disease. More people die from cancer. More people die from the common flu. More people die from gun deaths. More people die from all kinds of car accidents, all kinds of reasons. But nobody is normally, when there's no pandemic, people aren't going around like very worried and concerned and driving themselves crazy. So don't do it now. It is life and death, yes. It is to be respected and recognized for what it is. And of course, we take all the precautions that the medical experts advise. And yes, it's going to be very difficult in terms of the economy of the world and so forth, and losing people that we love maybe. But it's always like this, to some degree or other. We're always in this place. We're always in this condition. So it's a good time to learn to live in the face of great conflict with gratitude. This is a great opportunity to be grateful for. Okay? Thank you. Please, someone else.
Good evening, Sensei.
Yes.
My name is Andrei Bischoff. I am from Russia.
Oh, yes, Andrei.
As far as I understood, the meaning to be naturally means not to allow your mind to be scattered. Always check it, what it is doing at the moment, because naturally, as far as I understand, every creature aware of what it's going to do at the moment, or it's in wild nature, it will be killed or eaten.
Excuse me.
So my question is, did I got it right that it's important to check where our mind is at the present moment?
Yeah, okay, good question. Thank you. I usually say that the key to our practice is noticing. Noticing what's going on in our mind body. Noticing what's going on in our whole mind body. And I mentioned earlier that when we have a negative thought, we might not realize that it's negative, but we can feel it in our body. So we don't just think, we don't just look for insight, we don't just use this tente, we use the one point in the lower abdomen. We feel in our belly, and we feel in our heart, we feel in our body. We notice with our whole being, in other words, not just checking to judge our thoughts. I'm not talking about self-judgment. In fact, we don't do any, we don't have to do any correction at all. No correction is necessary. We have this thing in, so it's for English speakers, maybe this is okay, I don't know about other, in English we say, in spiritual schools they say, the way it works is illumination in surfeit. So illumination means the light going on, aha, getting it. And surfeit means when you've had enough. So all evolution happens through illumination and surfeit. In other words, every time you notice that when somebody looks at you a certain way, you have a certain perception. Every time you see that, every time you notice that you have that like conditioned reaction to something, the more you notice it, the more you get tired of being like that. Particularly if it causes harm to others or to yourself, like if it's a negative feeling. And at some point, you'll notice it, and it will just stop happening. But it won't stop happening because you say to yourself, I shouldn't do this anymore. I must stop doing this. My teacher says don't do this. Or my mom says don't do this. Or my wife says don't do this. No, it never works. You can't even tell yourself that you should be doing something. That's ego talking to ego. It doesn't work that way. You just notice, recognize yourself. So everybody says when you want to do some spiritual training, you get to know yourself. This is what we're doing. Know thyself. Well, you only get to know by noticing. So yes, notice when you're natural and free, and notice when you're not. Don't have to do anything about it. Automatically, when you notice enough, it will change. Okay?
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you. Someone else?
Aloha.
Hello.
This is
Yeah, Priya. Hello.
from Maui Ki Aikido.
Hi.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for your teachings and this community. And I'm resonating with everything you're saying. So thank you. I noticed in the beginning, you said, be natural, and then let's do key breathing. So we started key breathing, and I noticed that I was able to be very natural on the exhale, but the inhale was tricky for me, and it often is. And I'm noticing this, and I'm realizing, okay, I have to just be natural. How do I be natural when I'm trying to control my breath, breathe in a certain way? And so then I just tried to accept it, how I was feeling, and relax into it. And it got easier and better, but I certainly need more practice for sure.
Of course.
But, thank you.
You know, in the morning, I walk in the neighborhood early in the morning. And my son, my 45-year-old son, was visiting me recently before the pandemic. And he wanted to go walking with me in the morning. And we start off walking up a hill. And for me, walking up the hill is, I am working out. It takes a lot of my energy and all of my attention to be able to get up this hill and not be breathing too heavily. Whereas my son walks along next to me, almost walking backwards because he wants to talk to me, and he's just talking away. He gets to the top, he's not even breathing hard, and I am exhausted already. Okay? So this is because I'm older. I do it every day, so I'm in as good a shape as I can get to do that. But still, it's very difficult for me, and for him, he thinks nothing of it. So he has a condition. So like, I've been breathing for 50 years. So I have a condition in that sense that you don't have. I am able to breathe and naturally and enjoy it. And that hasn't quite got there yet for you, although you're experiencing breathing out with ease. So with another 4 or 5 years, maybe 10 years, no problem. It's just practice. Yeah. And not getting on yourself about it. Not being impatient, not trying to hurry it up, not feeling like you must be comfortable breathing. Yeah. So this is a big mistake we make in all of our practice, trying to make something happen. Okay. So this is do nothing time. Thank you, Priya.
Thank you, Sensei.
Someone else, please.
I have a question. I'm Nadia from Moscow.
Moscow.
Yes. I have a question about this listening thing and being normal and being natural. So when I'm trying, I always know what is normal, yes? And I'm trying to be natural. So to do that, I'm listening. And I'm listening so hard, trying to find out what is natural for me. So it feels like worrying. And it feels like for the most time, I'm worrying about trying to be natural and not knowing what is actually natural for me. Does it sound like a question? So for me, listening is worrying. So I hear what you say, that to listen is to stop every, process in your mind and just to be in ear. But for me, it's not, doesn't feel like that.
Okay. Can you explain to me maybe how listening makes you worry? If you're just listening to a sound, what this makes you worry? Like there is air conditioning in my office here, so I can hear the fan going now. It doesn't make me worry to hear the fan. So what do you mean when you say listening makes you worry?
For example, if the fan is very important for you, so it's very important thing for you, if it's working or not. So we are listening very hard to understand if it's working or not. And that makes you worry.
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So, of course, trying really hard to do something is a good way to keep it from happening. Yeah, you know this. In Aikido, when you try really hard, somebody's holding your wrist, you try really hard to move, you're not going to move well, right? We get in our own way when we worry. That's why the one next to the last one is don't worry, be happy. So if you notice, all of these point to a state of mind that is a state of equanimity. So yeah, you haven't practiced enough maybe yet to be filled with peace and equanimity at every moment. But don't make it worse by worrying about it. You only have the ability or the capacity of attention that you have. You don't have any more than that. Once you practice more, you will build more attention, capacity of attention. You'll be able to pay attention on a deeper level and be able to see many, many more colors in the rainbow. But right now, maybe not so much. So be patient. It's the same thing I was saying to Priya. And just pay attention. And when you lose your attention and go somewhere else, come back. You'll go, oh, wait, I was supposed to be paying attention. Then come back. That's all. And don't beat yourself up and say, oh, you're just not getting this. You should be paying attention. No, don't say anything to yourself. That's the ego talking to itself. That's a silliness. Let it come back and keep paying attention. You know, this is like, I always say, like in going to the gymnasium to build strength. So you have to do this with the weight or the muscle doesn't get bigger, right? You can't just look at the weights. You have to actually do it. So you have to actually try to pay attention or listen. And then every time you forget and come back, that's like one of these. Every time you forget and come back, it's not bad. That's what builds your capacity of attention. So that's your practice. Coming back, coming back, coming back, coming back, paying attention, paying attention, paying attention. Listening, listening, listening. And not beating yourself up about wherever you are in the process of practice, which is a lifelong study. So you might as well get used to it now, because even if you're an expert and you're 75 years old, there's still an infinity of more that you don't understand, because there's no end. There's never some point when you go, oh, okay, now I've got it all. No. We're always beginners. Every mind, every day, every morning, we're beginners. So I'm in the same boat as you, just relatively different. But in principle, it's the same for all of us. Okay? Thank you. Okay, we have, is there anything else? Is there anyone else? We're near the end of our session.
Sensei, I have a question.
Yes, Fincher.
A quick one. You know, when you say, so what, I can see how that helps us to release a lot of what we do in our lives. We strive to gain things in our life, and then we strive to keep them, not to lose them. So that's a big effort in our life. And I can see how that can tie us up, and so what can help us release that. But I'm curious to what you said, where gratitude has helped you.
I didn't really explain that all the way, did I?
How does gratitude help you release these?
Well, because the reason I didn't explain my whole relationship with gratitude is because what came out was I always ask of another person, why are you here? But that's what I'm asking myself. And the answer to why I'm here makes me very grateful. So if the answer to the why each one of us is here, if I can say it in a nutshell, is to wake up. That's why we came in this body. That's what Earth is for. That's what we're doing here. We're here, Toy Sensei's called it, to become one with the universe. We're here to awaken to our true condition. Okay, and one of the things, a way of looking at that or a way of explaining that is naturalness. So when you know what you're here for, then everything else is secondary to that. Because it's not that it's not as important, because in every moment, whatever it is that's happening is to wake you up. So every moment is equally important, every person, every happenstance, every situation. But can you see how this is something to be incredibly grateful for? Because people don't live like this. People bang, 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 back and forth between all these things that worry them and take all of their attention, and they just leak away, piss away all of their attention. So they don't have a deep sense of living and allowing this life to take place and discovery. So this is all to be infinitely grateful for to me. I mean, the first thing when I wake up in the morning, I sit up in the bed, put my legs over, and take a drink of water and be grateful. I'm so grateful to be alive, awake, I'm breathing. And then I can go, brush my teeth and shave my face and comb my hair, and then I sit. But I'm sitting in gratitude. And if you have an attitude like that of gratitude, if you genuinely feel this way, pretty much in any situation, you'll feel this way. More and more. It takes practice. Practice being grateful. To me, this is the key. Don't you notice that when we ask somebody, this business of teacher-student, the teacher asks you to do something, don't you notice that you take a moment to consider it? How many people in the West particularly say, "Hi, Sensei"? So Toi Sensei told me one time that everybody in the East, in Japan, never ask him any question, why we gotta do this? They just, "Hi, Sensei," because that's the cultural thing. And over here in the West, everybody asks him why, okay? So that changed his teaching. I think even Tracy Reisner Sensei was talking about that the other night. But what he didn't say, and what Toi Sensei said, is that so that means that when a Westerner, and this is why Toi Sensei told me the future of Aikido is in the West, when a Westerner is able to just say, "Hi, Sensei," he has discovered something that is not normal for him, but is natural. And that is gratitude. That may be difficult for people in the West to understand or maybe even accept. I can just feel everybody going, "I don't agree altogether with that." I don't care whether you agree or not. I could care less. Only I'm sharing with you my experience. And I think this phenomenon of Aikido being all over the world, and let's face it, you folks are coming from all over the world, is a fantastic thing that's happening. So this happened this way. Right now, these things are happening because we're all stuck in our homes and can't go down and play in the dojo. So rather than be upset about that, let's be grateful, because look what's happening. Look what's happening. I got a note from Shinichi Toi Sensei today. I sent it to all of you if you haven't seen it yet. And he said that he's starting to do Zoom also. And he said to us, "Please be ready. And we may not be able to start training Aikido again in a dojo until we have a vaccine, and that's at least a year away." So this is very, very important what we're doing. And we need to expand it. and find ways to enrich it and make it more valuable to each of us. So thank you very much for coming. Domo arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you, Sensei.
Arigatou gozaimashita.